We're glad that you could join us today. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, here is your host, Albert Pineda.
Welcome, everybody, to the Casting for Fun podcast. I am your host, Albert Pineda. And for this week's episode, I'm going to be joined again by Kimmy and Nathan Cross to discuss Stranger Things 4 Part 2. So the remaining 2 episodes that were scheduled to air on Netflix beginning July 1st have come and gone, and we have a conversation about that. Spoiler conversation, just like before. And it's a really exciting, really great conversation for me to get to chat with them, to talk about things that we love. And Stranger Things 4 was very enjoyable. It was great. We all enjoyed the season quite a bit. And we're planning to do future spoiler breakdowns on other shows that we like. I need to touch base with Kimmy and Nathan, but to see which shows would be good. There's probably quite a few that we can choose from. So looking forward to that. And a huge thank you to everybody who listened to the first episode. It did really well. It was my most streamed / downloaded episode, second only to my debut episode with Allison when I first started the podcast. So thank you, everybody, for the support. I'm assuming everybody found the episode enjoyable, and I hope you find this one enjoyable too. So here we go. This is part 2 of my Stranger Things season 4 conversation with Kimmy and Nathan Cross. Returning to the Casting for Fun podcast are my dear friends Kimmy and Nathan Cross. Kimmy, Nathan, how are you both?
Doing good.
Doing awesome.
It hasn't been that long, huh? I guess it's only been a month since last time we talked. So that's
true.
True. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Very well. Family's doing well, healthy, and we're really, really excited to actually get to chat these last 2 episodes about Stranger Things Part 4 or Part 2 of season 4.
These last 2 movies of season.
Yeah, yeah, they were long viewings. Huh?
Yeah,
very cool. So before we jump into that, though, I had actually sent this question to Kim to kind of prepare and talk about. It's actually a question I wanted to discuss going back to the previous episodes we had just watched. So as we kind of discussed in that other episode, the Running Up That Hill song from Kate Bush has become massively popular and huge. And it was kind of cool that was something that Max had been listening to, and probably would have been any kid back in 1986 probably would have been listening to that song or a number of different songs. So it kind of just begged the question that I've been pondering and thinking about. Hypothetically, if either of you were in Vecna's grasp, is there a particular song like that you think could probably pull you out and save your life?
You go first.
So, if it can be any song from our current era, you're gonna laugh. It would be "Lawnmower" by Sparks.
Oh, I don't think I know that song actually.
Not many people have. It's okay.
Sparks is amazing, insanely underrated. "Lawnmower" is a song from one of their most recent albums that is all about a guy who just loves his lawnmower. And the song is insanely catchy. It's very bright and cheery. And it reminds me of Teddy, our little guy here, because he absolutely loves it. Sorry,
he loves that song.
Anyway, he absolutely loves that song. So
he has a toy lawnmower that he likes to push around the apartment while listening to the song.
Partly because of that song. So hearing that song, first of all, would be a stark contrast to everything going on in Vecna's mind palace.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it would remind me of all the people who I love. So then I think that would give me the strength to run. Also, I think it would confuse the living daylights out of Vecna.
Why is there a song about lawnmowers? Yeah.
Very cool. How about you, Kimmy?
For mine, honestly, it could have been so many songs. And I thought to myself, okay, if it's a song that's got to motivate me to get away from Vecna, it has to be a song that isn't super slow or quiet. It has to be something that's going to get me going. So I was like, probably Immigrant Song.
Oh, awesome. Great choice. Great choice. Your dad would be proud.
Or, yeah, Immigrant Song or Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
It's one I've always loved since I was a kid. And last contender would probably be the Pirates of the Caribbean theme.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Yeah,
He's a Pirate theme. That's a get up and go song, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, excellent choices all around. So I'm gonna have to look up. That's
Oh,
part.
you're gonna look up. It's
Yeah, I'm
great.
gonna look it up for sure.
You'll be humming it. But yeah, it was tough because I was like, oh man, I love this, like Champagne Supernova by Oasis is one
Oh
of my
yeah.
all-time favorite songs, but it starts out real slow and real quiet. It's like, man, I could be dead by then. It's got to be something that comes right in and gets you, and I think Lawnmower does it for me.
Oh yeah,
How about
those are
you?
both really excellent choices. In fact, I feel kind of bad because initially I was thinking, you know what, I probably would have picked "Marry Me" by Train, which is mine and Allison's first wedding dance song. But now that you bring up, I mean, to remember your spouse, I mean, that's who you want to remember more than anyone else. But you guys bring up excellent points in that song is very slow and it may not do the trick fast enough.
Yeah.
But going along the lines of what Nathan was talking about like, remembering your loved ones and making sure, they're close to you. The song I really love a lot is Wish You Were Here by Incubus. And I love it because, like, he's in the song, he talks about experiencing great, amazing moments in your life. And anytime you're having those moments, you're immediately thinking to your mind, wish you were here, referring to friends, family, loved ones who oftentimes aren't by your side, but you kind of wish they were. Or if something cool, amazing happens, you immediately just drawn to the conclusion, oh, I wish so-and-so were here. This would be so cool to have them here with me. So remembering that you do have loved ones, friends, family members who care about you, I think that would be really vital. If a hypothetical imaginary monster like Vecna was trying to kill you.
Yeah. I think if Max were in our day and age, I think she would have enjoyed that song too.
Yeah, very cool. So let's jump into season 4, part 2. The 2 episodes, Papa and Piggyback. I have a lot of talking points for both of them, and just like before, I want to hear everything you guys want to discuss as well. We're probably going to be jumping back and forth between the 2 episodes. And what was also really interesting is that a lot of the predictions that the 2 of you had suggested came true, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so first, I want to start with Brenner. It was a really shocking surprise to me that he would die, and I'm assuming this time for good. I think he's dead this time.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess, kind of how Nathan, you described before. He was showing like those signs of like shades of gray. He was like, coercing 11 to have to get these additional powers to go through the training, treatments, whatever. But then at the end, in his last dying act, he releases her, which I guess, there was still that fatherly love that I guess he kind of had for her in his own twisted way, right?
Yeah.
So I guess what were your thoughts with Brenner and the final episode with him in the Papa episode?
I think him betraying Owens was like, it was coming. They were butting heads. I think we were both really happy with how he went.
Yeah. It was, the way he went was very much a reflection of how we feel about his character overall. It's like, he's, like you said, shades of gray, where he went out saving 11. But at the same time, he had just betrayed Owens and left him for dead and done all these other awful things, putting the collar on 11, so
sedating her.
Yeah. Which was his own undoing, because if she'd been fully conscious, she probably could have saved them both.
Yep.
At that point.
We both really liked the fact that he tries to coerce 11 into saying, like, tell me you understand why I did what I did. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't. She doesn't go angsty teen. She just calmly puts his hand down on the ground, looks off into the distance, and says goodbye. And
I thought that was pretty awesome of her, especially considering that at that point, Hopper was still dead to her. She had no father figure at all. So it would have been easy for her to accept him in some way there at the end, but she didn't. And I really liked that. But
that was a good character growth, an essential character growth moment for her. Long time coming.
No, absolutely.
Very good. Very well done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to touch very briefly on the colonel. I have his name, my notes in here, his name here in my notes, Lieutenant Colonel Sullivan. So again, we see him like, he's going after 11, killing, people to try and get her, that she's the great threat. With everything that's happened now, I'm assuming he's in, that Owens is now in his possession, that he hasn't captured. But then with everything that's now happened in the final episode, with the gates being open now, is he still going to be a hindrance to the group? Is he going to realize, that there is this practice upside down and that 11's their only chance of stopping it?
I think he's still going to be a problem.
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm worried about Owens.
Yeah.
I like him so much. And I was like, they just left him. I knew they had to, but still, I felt really bad for Owens.
And we got no closure on Owens. So I do think he's obviously going to be showing up in season 5. He's probably going to be trying to help contain the Upside Down because he has knowledge of that. He knows that, hey, flamethrowers will kind of help keep this at bay, at least temporarily. He's going to be sitting there trying to convince the Colonel, I think,
Oh, you mean Owens?
Owens,
Sorry.
yeah, I'm talking about Owens. So he's going to be trying to convince the Colonel, like, hey, we do need to use L. But I think he's going to still be a hindrance.
I think Sullivan's still going to
go he called a hit on a girl.
Yeah, really.
There's no coming back from that for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So like I said, I want to be probably jumping back and forth between like the various notes I have between the 2 episodes. So going to the piggyback episode, the battle between 11 and Vecna, that was actually pretty exciting and thrilling for me to see. Get to see him fight during the winter ball and everything like that. And then it's revealed that Vecna is in fact the big bad of the whole series. Not just the 5-star general as Dustin called him, but he is in fact the big bad. Yeah, he created the mind flayer. That was a huge shock to me. So that was pretty cool. What did you think of that whole sequence? It seemed like it was kind of long, but I guess it was done well to effect. I mean, the whole battle between 11 and Vecna.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Could have done with more of them fighting at least.
Yeah.
The twist of him being the big bad, I think we both went like, oh, okay.
Wasn't super surprised. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I didn't really see it coming, but at the same time, it was like, okay, that makes sense, And I really liked the fact that he, like you said, created the mind flayer and made it look like a spider.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the explanation why it looks the way it does.
Yeah,
it's because of his him liking spiders so much, Black Widows in particular.
Mm-hmm. I did think that was rather creatively done overall.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And their fight was pretty cool. I liked their fight a lot. But yeah, I wish I could have seen a little bit more. But yeah, it was cool.
I feel like they're holding back on some of it just to give us some cool sequences in season 5.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Totally okay with that.
Very good. With Max, it's actually been interesting. So I go back and I re-listen to our episode because it's a really cool episode. In fact, little side note, it's actually my second most downloaded episode. So thank you both. The only one that's done better is my debut episode of Allison. But anyways, I keep thinking back. So in my mind, I had thought, okay, Vecna probably, he should be able to show how dangerous and big of a threat he is, and that's why I initially thought, okay, maybe he should kill Max in that sequence. But now, as we see, that killing Max would have resulted in the four portals being open at that moment. So I guess the writers know what they're doing, and that it happens then, which was really cool and exciting to see. And the death of the one bully guy, it was actually kind of gruesome, but kind of cool too, when the portal opens and splits him in half.
That was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah, and it was just quick, and it was like, it was almost off screen, because it was so quick. It's like, that's all he deserved. That's fine.
So I'd imagine like the witch hunt going on in the town of Hawkins, that's not happening anymore, because we've seen half the residents have like vamoose, they're gone.
Right.
So with Max, okay, so again, it could have seemed like she was gonna die this time, but now she's just in a coma. What do you think will be Max's fate in the 5th season?
That's a good question.
I've been thinking about this. I have thoughts.
It was interesting how Ella wasn't able to find her.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Elle, through finding Max, is also going to uncover some new ability in herself that's going to help her beat Vecna. Being able to delve even deeper into someone's mind. I don't know. What do you think?
That's not a bad idea. I didn't think about that. But I do think about this current state that Max is in.
Mm-hmm.
Broken arms, broken legs. She was blind before she died.
Mm-hmm.
Died in quotation marks.
Yeah, will she be able to see?
So I think Max is going to be massively disabled in our final season. She may be up and walking again if they do the time jump, which sounds like they probably will.
Mm-hmm.
But Max not being able to see and things like that, like I think that she's just going to be way more powerful in terms of like her ability to be able to control her mind and potentially use some sort of a link that she may still have with her mind and Vecna.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Vecna literally opening up physical portals also opens up figurative portals between minds, and maybe she will be useful in kind of spying on Vecna through his mind.
Yeah,
with Elle's help. Maybe she'll be kind of a conduit between the two of them.
Yeah, that's
I think would be really interesting. No,
absolutely.
That's pretty much it.
Absolutely agree with you on that point, Nathan, because we saw that Will had been essentially a spy, or they were able to utilize him in season 2 for doing the same thing. So I think that's absolutely a possibility for Max. Yeah. The whole sequence with Max and Lucas, I thought was really touching and really cool when they were passing along notes because they didn't want to give away their position to Lucas, and he asked her to the movies, and then she draws a little picture of them at the movies, which was really cool to see that. And then also, I had a question for you guys too. So in the hospital scene, Lucas is reading a book to her. And the book that he's reading to her, again, I had to do a deep dive into this, look up some YouTube videos talking about the show. It's called The Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. I don't know if you've heard of that book before.
No,
I saw Stephen King's name on the book, and I saw The Talisman. Sure. I don't know anything else about it.
Oh, okay. Well, the interesting Easter egg about that is apparently the Duffer Brothers are going to be adapting that book for Netflix with Amblin Entertainment. So Steven Spielberg might be involved in some capacity. So I guess that was like a wink and nod type of thing, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Maybe they'll adapt a Stephen King movie / book.
Yeah. So a fun little Easter egg, but again, like it's one of those things that unless you do the research, look it up on YouTube videos, most people probably wouldn't even caught it.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I didn't really catch that.
I'm excited. Cool. We very much enjoyed it part 1,
but not part 2.
But not part 2.
Not so much. Anyway, I want to say something real quick about Max's death.
Oh yes, of course.
I thought they should have either killed her, like really killed her, or not at all. Because the way that scene where she died was written and acted was incredibly moving. It was so well done. And like I said, just heartbreaking. And then they took it back. I hate that. I hate that trope so much because it's like it cheapens it, It's like, why did you do that to us? And then, never mind. It's just
also like Elle's ability to be able to heal her,
force heal her
was something that was not built up to or hinted at. She just suddenly said, nope, you're not dying. And it was like literally like the writers saying, no, you're not dying.
Yeah. And I know they needed Max to die because they needed that 4th portal to open, right? For story purposes. I get that. But maybe it could have been Eddie. Maybe Vecna could have gotten Eddie instead. Like they really wanted to kill Eddie. Maybe he could have been the 4th portal. Why tease us with Max's death like that and then take it back? It's like, just kill her. If you're going to make that amazing scene, make it worth it, As much as I love Max, I am glad she's still alive. Yeah. For the record, I'm glad she's still alive. Yeah. But yeah, just me nitpicking, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. Yeah, Max went from like a character that we did not like at all in season 2 to being like her death. We were screaming at the TV. No!
Yeah.
We were very, very invested in her. So I think that's a massive credit to the writers as well as obviously the actress for just really giving us such a great character.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Let's jump to Eddie. So yes, Kimmy, congratulations on predicting that Eddie would die.
For Eddie.
Nathan, congratulations on predicting that his guitar was actually going to play a part in the Upside Down, which the whole concept is really cool. Just the most metal concert you could possibly do in an alternate dimension, playing Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And you're right. I mean, he rose up to the occasion. Like, I always run away, but no, I'm not this time. I'm gonna be courageous and brave. And then the whole sequence with Dustin talking to was his uncle, I think.
Oh,
At the
yes,
very end,
yeah.
like, explaining to him, like, I believe your nephew. I mean, he was brave, he was kind, he was a hero. The whole sequence I thought was really great. So what did you think with Eddie's whole entire story arc from the first part of season 4 to the finale?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I think we've been a bit robbed. He should have been introduced several seasons ago. We love him so much.
Well, apparently he'd been around Hawkins for a while since he hadn't graduated, so they could have.
Yeah.
Right. They could have
Yeah.
had him in there. I know. I understand though. I really liked his arc. I thought it was very believable and well earned. If that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Well acted too. I can't remember that actor's name, but I think he's great. I know he's English, so that's kind of even cooler. You wouldn't know it listening to him. But yeah, his death, like I said, predicted it because how else were the writers going to take care of him?
Mhm.
It was very telegraphed with his whole
I always run away.
I always run away, and then him saying, like, you guys are gonna be the future, you're gonna have to take care of these little sheep. Yeah, it was just like, oh, you're gonna die. I didn't want him to die, period.
No, but
Yeah.
it was going to happen. And something else too that was interesting, I compared his death with Bob's death because they were both characters that were introduced for just one season and then were killed off, right? And with Bob's death, I was literally on my feet screaming at the TV. I was so like, Bob, pick up the gun! Don't forget the gun! Like, what are you doing? Shh. You know? Don't stop running! Why'd you stop running? Anyway, with Eddie, not so much. And that might be because, like I said, I saw it coming.
Mhm.
And or maybe because we just kind of knew what to expect by now from this show.
Barb, Bob, Alexi,
Billy.
He
wasn't a
Eddie,
one
but
season character,
Billy
but
was it, yeah.
anyway, but with Eddie's death, I kind of wish they made it just a little more necessary because it kind of wasn't at that point. He could have kept running and that would have been fine. It's like they would have kept chasing you, buddy. You would have kept doing your job, distracting them. Keep running. Why'd you stop and let them kill you? That was kind of my thought. But,
yeah. You could argue at that point that he didn't know that what he was doing was serving almost no purpose anymore.
Yeah.
But still, it did feel a little pointless. And I do agree with Kimmy. I think he could have still served his whole overall arc. And if he had to die, I think it would have been better to suddenly have this switch where Vecna just understands because he's an intelligent dude. Max is bait, and I'm gonna go after Eddie instead. Surprise! I know what you guys are up to. Check this out. And by doing that, like, it would have made his death a lot more meaningful.
It could have thrown quite a wrench in the machine for that to happen, for Max's bait not to work, and a big twist of, oh, Vecna's not taking the bait. He's actually gonna go for someone else, and then have everyone have to, oh crap, what are we gonna do now? And then then we have a death, and it's more of a stumbling block than they really. I mean, everything else went pretty smoothly. Like everything went really smoothly if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like the
synchronization between
all the groups. Yeah.
Somehow coming and working together, even in Russia.
Yeah.
Where I'm still surprised everyone survived. Was actually pretty amazing that they only walked away with one casualty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to what you guys were just talking about in not taking the bait and going for someone else. I mean, going back to the piggyback episode. No, I'm sorry, not the piggyback, Papa episode. Vecna could have chosen Nancy. I mean, he had Nancy. It was almost, I think, in a way, like he was kind of toying with the group. Like when he specifically told Nancy, hey, go tell 11. This is what I want you to tell her, everything that I'm showing you, which was pretty intense. First, I mean, I loved how bad Nancy was with the shotgun. That was so cool.
That was so cool, yeah.
But then also with the horrific vision that Vecna had shown her. I mean, like, the portals opening up, like she described it as like, monsters emerging, that her family was dying. What do you think of that whole sequence, of that whole vision that Nancy had received from Vecna?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see all of that in the next season. I don't want Nancy's family to die, for the record. But with the way things ended in this season, that could totally happen now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that going into this next season, we were sitting here going, okay, like what kinds of predictions do we have for next season? And we really don't have a lot. We don't
I feel
know
like anything
what's
could
gonna
happen at this point.
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Yo, absolutely. It's kind of hard to see where things are going to go now. I mean, there was kind of maybe an indication before when season 3 ended. You know, they gave us that teaser that Hopper was still alive. So okay, yeah. So we're probably going to see Hopper in a jail in Russia, or 11 dealing with the aftermath of not having her powers. I mean, I agree with you guys. I have no idea what we're going to see now in season 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And whenever we get it, right, in the next 4 or 10 years, whatever's gonna finally come out.
Yeah, hopefully not too long. So we'll see. Going back to, or sticking with the Papa episode, so we finally get the reveal of Will's picture, which was kind of cool to see. That it's the whole group.
So sweet.
Yeah, and I guess technically he did tell a little bit of a fib that he had told Mike that 11 had commissioned him to draw the picture, whereas technically he drew it all himself based on the monologue that 11 had given. And then that whole sequence when he's coming out but not really coming out, so he didn't actually say it, but I mean the way he was talking and the way that Jonathan was listening in, it was a tender moment. It was a good moment for Will, I thought.
Absolutely. That was so well done. That actor who plays Will, man,
Noah something, I forget his name.
Honestly, I think he's one of the best in that whole group. He's so good. That was so well written.
There were so many well acted emotional scenes in this entire season. The acting in this season, I think, has been some of the best acting that's come out of Stranger Things, period. And I would say Will's acting or Will's arc in this season was one of the most moving.
And I thought it was
sad things. It
was so sad that he, the way he was saying what he was saying to Mike was kind of what's the way to put this? He was saying it as though it was 11, she loves you because of this, whereas he was actually saying, I love you because of this.
He's confessing without
really confessing. And it kind of makes you want to just take Mike by the throat, just go, do you understand what's really going on? How do you not?
One of us would be choking Mike, the other one would be giving Will a hug, and then we would switch.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So yeah, we get ton of really great emotional scenes with the characters, everything they're going through. But as we mentioned before in the previous episode that we recorded, there's so much really cool humor and comedy that we're seeing too. So I love when Argyle makes his suggestion, hey, let's go visit the pizza place here in Nevada and Las Vegas. And a funny little Easter egg that I caught as well from watching these YouTube videos talking about the show. Apparently the guy who lets them into the Nevada or the Las Vegas pizza place. What's the pizza place called?
Surfer
Boys?
Surfer Boys, yeah. Apparently he's credited as Argyle 2.0. The guy who made it in the credits, which is really hilarious and funny.
We saw it, we laughed.
Yeah. Pretty great.
So Argyle's been great. It's just really funny, and anything he says is just funny. Like when they go back at the very end of the piggyback episode, they go to Hopper's old cabin in the woods, and he's talking like, this Fortress of Solitude isn't very good.
Yeah.
So I would definitely want to see more of Argyle. I think to keep things light, because we're going to go to some really dark territory in season 5.
Yeah, we're going to need him. I just love how on board he is with everything. With Elle and her superpowers. He's like, oh, you need a tub with a bunch of salt. Okay, doesn't even stop to say why.
This will be the first time a mind battle's ever been done from a pizza freezer.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah, we love Argyle. He's awesome.
Very good, very good. One more touching scene that I wanted to bring up and discuss: the reuniting of Jane and Hopper, which was really great to see. I mean, they're awesome, great. Again, I get to kind of experience that a little bit myself, with Allison and I recently adopting a child who's not our biological child, but we love as if he was. So I can understand the dynamic between Jane and Hopper. I thought it was really great to finally see them together again.
To
So
see
sweet.
to see the stark dynamic between Papa and Hopper was it made when Hopper shows up feel so much better. Like I was getting emotional. Just it's like, oh, it's so good to have you back. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the
Thank you for
parallel.
loving this poor tortured girl.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then parallel between the two of them with their hair and everything they've been through, you know, both being imprisoned. I thought that was pretty cool.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So going to the Russian scene now for Hopper, Joyce and Murray. There's a few Easter eggs again. I mean, I shouldn't be so obsessed with watching these videos on YouTube. I don't want to get spoiled for me, but they do point out some really cool Easter eggs. Like so when they're going through that room with all the dead Demogorgons who are in suspended animation, that whole sequence was made to look exactly like Winona Ryder's movie Alien Resurrection. I've never actually seen the movie, but apparently they have like
Really?
xenomorphs in
Yeah,
like that
no,
yellow.
it looks exactly like that. You're right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
You're totally
And
right.
then there was another Easter egg that it seemed kind of, I'm bringing this up because again, there's so many Easter egg and homages. It can be hard to keep track of every single one. But when Hopper fights his last fight with the Demogorgon, which was really awesome, by the way, I remember seeing him pick up the sword and I'm thinking, hey, where did that sword come from? That can't just show up randomly. But I guess,
Right.
you know, remember the Russian inmates, they were of no consequence at all because they just all got slaughtered, but they had access to all those weapons. So I guess one of them got left behind from the battle. And that particular sword, it's an exact replica of Conan the Barbarian sword from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No way.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ah, I knew I had seen that before.
So it's
That's so
one of
great.
those really subtle things you wouldn't have known. But again, like the people who talk about it on YouTube and create videos, they're more obsessed than any of us. So
Bless their hearts. We need them.
yeah. So overall, I was very pleased and happy. As Nathan had mentioned, I think this has been the best season since season one. So much humor, so much great drama and acting, thrilling, exciting sequences. Season 5 is going to be hard pressed to top it, but like we discussed, it's going to be hard to kind of predict and gauge what we think is going to happen. So before we get to predictions for season 5, if we have any at all, were there any other talking points that you guys wanted to bring up from these last 2 episodes?
Yes. Why did 11 wind up at that skate park? We're wondering if that's going to be significant in season 5 because it was kind of random. We didn't really learn anything new about Max, and it just seemed kind of, like I said, random.
Yeah.
So that's just something that
So
we
there's
discuss briefly and then stop because we don't have the answer and we can only
Yeah.
assume it's going to be relevant later. I don't know.
Mhm. There'll be some Inception level stuff going on, and for some reason, Elle having arrived in Max's memory at a skate park is gonna be a significant point of some regard. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's gonna feel like Elle's super friends who never showed up in this season. You know, they popped up for one episode in season 2. Everyone hated them, and then
Yeah.
they've not shown up again. One of my minor predictions is that, hey, we'll finally get a payoff of them in season 5 because they'll come help fight the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mhm.
We'll see.
And then last thing we haven't covered, we have a Word document here on my computer
Oh, awesome.
of things we wanted to talk. We covered them all. The last one was just Vecna as a villain. I don't know if you watch the pitch meeting videos on YouTube. They're pretty great. And they did a pitch meeting of Stranger Things season 4. And they pointed out the fact that Vecna is kind of like Voldemort in many ways.
Which you think on a surface level, oh, that's funny.
but
but
when you
then-
really think about it, it's like, oh yeah,
He's a dark wizard,
defeated by a
defeated
child,
by a child,
weakened.
gains his power, fights high school students, loses, also doesn't have a nose.
No,
Yeah.
Anyway. It's kind of funny, but just him as a character, it's one of my favorite things to nitpick at is if a villain is not sympathetic at all. For instance, one of my all-time favorite villains ever is Loki because
Yeah.
he's a great villain, but you can also feel sorry for him. You can also understand his motivations, right? Vecna, I don't understand, and I don't feel sorry for him
Right.
at all.
We kind of put
He's
down
just kind of born evil, I
born
guess.
evil question mark.
Kind
Yeah.
of like Voldemort, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would have been nice for them to develop him a little more in that regard, give more of a reason, I guess. Because I to be fair, Brenner did abuse him, and you know, he grew up, was raised in that awful environment, but he was evil before then.
Yeah, he
Killed
killed
his
his
whole
mom
family,
and
yeah.
sister and attempted to kill his own dad prior to all of this. And all of that, the only reason we get is because he wanted to impose order on the chaos of the world. And that's it. So
Voldemort. Anyway,
Voldemort. Yeah.
So that's just a critique, I guess. But you never know. Maybe we'll get more about from him in the next season, that we can develop him more. I don't know. Anyway, but
Yeah,
that's all.
No, possibly. Yeah. In fact, it was kind of interesting that he was talking about like his plans that he's done up until this point. Like you know, the getting the monsters into our world. Which again, like we kind of discussed about briefly, like or Nathan had mentioned possibly of like, you know, a Red Dawn-esque scenario where, you know, the Upside Down's going to invade Hawkins and essentially the whole world. You know, it's kind of funny, up to this point he's been using, you know, the portals that have been opened by 11, and I thought that I kind of just had it into my mind. So when Will goes back to the normal world after they rescued him from the Upside Down and he coughs up that slug, which turns into a demi-dog, was that the same demi-dog that Dustin had found, that he named Dart? Because he found it like in the pipes, or he coughed it up into the sink, and then Dustin found it in his garbage. So I don't know if it had gone through.
I don't know if we know for sure, but I would say that's probably a safe bet.
Yeah. So anyways, it just seems like he's been trying to get his way inside to our world, to you know, and then he had his well laid out plan of like creating that like monster thing from season 3 that was able to steal 11's power. So I guess he's been kind of orchestrating things like that. I guess if we find out more of his motivation, that would be interesting and great. It was also kind of interesting to hear that Brenner was specifically looking for Henry. That was the whole reason for sending people into the Upside Down from season 1. So a lot of unanswered questions, but I think places they could take the story in season 5.
Yeah, that was another answered question we got, huh? Like why? Oh, he's looking for Henry the whole time.
Right. And then using the whole Russian Cold War thing is probably a means to get the funding he needed to make it all happen.
Right.
I think that was actually pretty well done.
Yeah, that's true. That slug that Will coughed up, that happened at Christmas.
Yeah.
I just remembered. And when did season 2 take place? Was it the summer?
I think it was Halloween time, because remember they had the Ghostbusters
It
costume?
was Halloween.
You're right. So that would have been a whole year.
Almost a whole year.
Later. So maybe that wasn't Dart.
Probably
Maybe
not.
it was
Yeah.
a different slug. Anyway.
Yeah.
I do not know the life cycle of slug to demigod to demogorgon.
That's a good point. We don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, Vecna was definitely trying to sneak his way into our world, and now he's done it. So it'll be really interesting and exciting to see what happens now in season 5. I know we've already kind of said that we just don't really have any clues, but I mean, are there any just wild guesses or speculations for season 5 before we wrap up?
You had Nathan had pointed out the Vecna's song and was wondering if there was any significance to it. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but it's the song
Dream
that was
a Little Dream of Me.
That one, yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong.
Interesting that it started to play as he slowly bled into Max's happy place at the snowball. I told Nathan, like, I think they just used it because it was creepy. And it fit the aesthetic of him slowly making everything creepy. But
I think it was also recorded around that time when he was a child, like in the late 50s, early 60s, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. So it might actually be more significant than we think.
I don't know. Yeah, this is the great thing about season 5. We're literally grasping at straws.
Yeah.
All I am gonna come up with, I think, is obviously Dr. Owens will show back up.
I hope.
He'll probably help Elle get even more superpowered. And
hopefully, yeah.
I think Will and Max will both be instrumental in the fight against Vecna because of their connections with him.
That's true. Yeah.
And the last straw is that Elle's super friends are going to show up and help fight.
No, please no.
It'd be great for them to show up to fight, and then they get massacred.
No. Gosh. I think I think we all know the love triangle between Nancy and then Jonathan and Steve is going to have to be resolved. I just hope it doesn't mean one of them has to die, but that seems to be the writer's go-to. I mean, that's what happened with Bob.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and with Jonathan lying to Nancy at the very end there, I think that Steve is probably going to be the one who wins out.
I don't know. I can't.
Unless someone dies.
Yeah.
I think someone's
Yeah. To be honest, I like Steve more than Jonathan, but at the same time, I kind of don't like maybe Nancy just bouncing around. I mean, I'd say just pick a guy
Right.
with him.
Pick Robin. Surprise all of us. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Robin has her lady love now. She's happy.
Her Molly Ringwald lookalike.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Great. Were there any other talking points? I mean, we pretty much covered everything I wanted to discuss. So
every character arc was great, I think, except for Mike's. Mike's was the only one, and Dustin didn't do too much. He was kind of there just to be tutelaged by Steve and Eddie. But yeah, Mike's whole arc of like, I can't say I love you.
Never mind, I love you.
Like him wanting to go after and save Elle and all of that, like that was fine and all. Everyone else had an amazing arc. Lucas had a great arc. Will had a great arc. Like everyone had a good arc except for him, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just.
But still, like that's nitpicking. This was a fantastic season. I think
was so good.
We said that season 1 is still our favorite, but season 4 kind of tied with season 2 for our second favorite. Season 3 is at the bottom.
Yeah.
So just one last thought that I just had then. I mean, we kind of talked about it before in the other podcasts, but I really would love to see all 4 boys back together again, just having their adventures, like, with them, like we haven't seen since season 1, really. I mean, technically for most of season 1, we didn't because Will was in the Upside Down, but
that's true.
Most of, I guess, the beginning of season 1 and then the beginning of season 2, I really wanted to just see the 4 boys act together again, just being boys. Yeah,
we're happy that they're all back together again. Yeah. And I hope they stay that way because this show always splits them up and then gets them back together right at the very end. So I'm happy that they're all back together again. And I hope they stay that way throughout season 5. That'd be a nice change. So we'll see.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, if there's nothing else, then I think we're good to go ahead and wrap up for tonight. But what we definitely need to do is find another show to watch together and talk about it because I love doing it. Well, there's definitely no shortage of shows, so we just got to find one that we like and go from there.
This is true.
Very true.
But Kimmy, Nathan, thank you so much. This is so much fun for me, and I can't wait to release this episode. And great seeing you both too, and great that we can just catch up. And glad to see you're both doing well and family's doing well.
Thank you.
It was good to see you too. This was fun.
Yeah. Please give our regards to Allison.
I will. Thank you. Okay. So you've been listening to the Cats for Fun podcast. Thanks, everybody.